Hello, John and Jean Hyde. My name is Luke Smith. I got a call this morning from Jordan Mullay, and I probably didn't say your name right, Jordan, but I found you. I found you on the internet. Thanks for calling me. It's Jordan. I had to look him up. I missed the name. I love the tenacity of reaching out. He called me because I clicked on another property he had listed, and I do a lot of researching QSR, quick service restaurants. I like vacant buildings like your Hamilton KFC here in the background. I like finding tenants for them and figuring them out and making them happen. So I asked Jordan if he had any vacant ones, and he pointed this one out. And yours is dark. It's not totally vacant. It's dark. They're still paying rent, which is even better. I love that kind of play. I started looking up Hamilton, Alabama, and while I was on the phone with him, and the income's not very much in this town. It's classic small town Alabama, but there's still business here. They're paying rent, and other shops are happening. Other national brands are happening, and I think that could be used in our advantage to find a new tenant for this shop. So I wanted to make a video about this, and I wanted to present. I started working on an LOI. Like background here. I'm gonna finish this and send it to you, and I am I'm putting together the offer, and I'm getting it put together, and it's getting kind of complicated because of how I see this deal and how I think we could work this deal. So I'm making this video, and I want to try to explain it. Let's go back to this background. So we got a building. It's built in 2003, and they're paying rent, to my understanding, $60,000 a year till 20. Let me cancel this one until 2023. Sorry, 2028, and that's nice. The rent's great. So you could just sit back and collect the rent until then, and maybe that's the plan. That's the idea, and that's fine. But in the meantime, what we could do, an entrepreneurial fellow, maybe like myself, would like to find a different tenant for this property. And like, what are you going to do with a different tenant, Luke? That should be your question. I would try to move a different tenant in here. This is 3,500 square feet. I've taken shops like this and split them in half. You put like a Marco's Pizza on one side and a Jimmy John's or a Jersey Mike's or something on the other side. Give one of them the drive-through, one of them's takeout. In today's modern world, people order stuff on their phone and they get Uber Eats and DoorDash and all these kinds of apps. The takeout food happens. They don't go sit in the restaurant and eat there as much as they used to in the past. So we could throw that kitchen out, or throw that dining room out of the way, and fit two different shops in here. And that's one way of doing it. Two different shops. Maybe they pay like 40 or 50 grand a month, or not a month, a year in rent instead of the 60, but two of them together makes a higher rent. We end up with something better than what it's at right now. And like lower rent asks is easier to get over the hurdle to get somebody in there. We might also be able to find somebody that takes the whole building and runs with it. And I think we got a shot at doing that because I was looking up, let me pull it up here. I play with different databases all the time, and one of my databases that I love to play with is cell phone traffic. So I'm looking at the cell phone traffic of the other shops in this town, and Hardee's is doing 3,600 customers. The Sonic was doing pretty good. Sonic, 14,400 customers a month going to the Sonic right down the street. And if we start digging into this thing some more, and we go look at that compared to the other Sonics, they're at 88 percentile Sonic. Like, 21% of them are better, but 87% of them are lower traffic going through. This is counting people going into the shop, not just a drive-through, but going in, spending time there, making themselves show up on the cell phone time tickers. If they do the drive-through in less than 7 minutes, it doesn't count on this database the way it's set up. So like, there's different ways of looking at it. I'm not going to get into the details for this presentation, but south of town, it looks like Walmart moved out of one building, Tractor Supply moved in, and Walmart moved down the street a little bit. Here's Walmart. Jack's family was doing 8,000 customers a month. Burger King was 4,000 customers a month. That's pretty good. Like, a lot of Burger Kings pay rent on less customers than that. It's pretty good Burger King. McDonald's is doing awful. The ranking on this McDonald's, like with that Jack's and that Burger King and the others, this McDonald's ought to be 14, 15, maybe even 20,000, but it's not. It's like 2 percentile McDonald's? Like, what the heck is wrong? These people in this town do not like McDonald's, or it's really hard to get in and out of that shop or something. Something's wrong with that McDonald's. I don't get that. Um, but Domino's, what other one was it? It was really high ranked. There's a couple really high ranked shops. So you get my point that I want to take the really high ranked shops in this town and emulate the traffic that's there. And when we have these shops that are doing really good traffic, you can do a calculation of who's missing. So if we have these shops, but we're missing this shop, I want to go out and market to those shops that are missing that belong here. I want to look at those shops that have enough horsepower. I call it horsepower, but I like to measure their horsepower in average unit sales. Like a shop like this that's under Burger King might sell $1.1 million a year. But a shop like this that's under Panera Bread might sell $3.5 million a year. And so we can do the calculations of what kind of sales they should have here based off of what's going on in the area. And with those names that are missing and what kind of sales, the synthetic, pro forma sales they should get here, I can figure out who can pay the rent, because the banks will usually finance up to a certain ratio of those sales to finance those things. And so if we can keep the rent below the bank numbers, we can ask for rents that work here from names that can get the sales to work here, so the business happens here over time going forward, right? And so the next question people always ask me is, Luke, how do you find the tenants? Well, I'm a land guy. I love land. You can look at my YouTube history. You can look at my TikTok history. You can look at my website history of thousands of properties. You can look me up in almost every county and every state in the country, and my name's on property records going back over time. I like buying properties and selling properties and buying them and selling them. And a part of that learning curve, I've created software to keep track of these properties. I create software to keep track of the partners. I create databases of these transactions, and the trade prices and the knowledge that comes off of these grows over time. I make a lot of mistakes to get that knowledge, and I meet a lot of people along the way. So a lot of that land that I've got or have sold or worked on used to be, a vacant lot like this, and I get, hey, KFC goes here, we'll build you a KFC, and we turn it into a building like this. So I'm usually coming at it from the other side where there's no building there and figuring out what goes there, right? And then financing it up, making it happen, and letting it go. In today's market, it's a lot easier to find a building like yours that's sitting there that needs some love, love being a new tenant, right? And re-tenanting that thing instead of going to the new guys that should go here and say, we got a vacant lot, let's start fresh and go make it happen. Here, if I find a good tenant or a pair of good tenants, if we cut the thing in half, then I can go to KFC, who's paying rent on this, and I say, hey, KFC, I got a new tenant that would like to go in here. It's not Popeye's Chicken, who's a big competitor of yours. Maybe it is, but maybe I don't say the name if it's Popeye's Chicken. But I go to him and say, I got the tenant that wants to go here. Here's who it is. And they're not like your major super duper competitor. Why don't we work out a deal? And I would like to see your lease before I have this conversation with them. That's part of the LOI that I put together here. One of the things that I'm asking for, well, I didn't put it on the screen. One of the things in here I'm asking for is a copy of the lease. And I'm going to look and see because sometimes I could sublet. And that would be really nice if I could sublet. The thing's probably worth more if I can just sublet, and we can keep the rent rolling and sublet it. But most of these leases, they won't let you sublet. So I'll talk to them and say, if you let me sublet, maybe I take the $60,000 a year to $50,000 a year, or some kind of negotiation like that. And then we got rents coming from two different names, and that makes it happen. Or maybe we can do a cash. Like maybe you could cash me out now at 50 cents on a dollar, 60 cents on a dollar, or something, some number like that, instead of paying for the rest of forever. Or maybe it's maybe you pay 3 payments over the next 3 years instead of at 80 cents on a dollar, or 75 cents on a dollar or something. We could hash out something in between that's agreeable and works. And we piece together the thing's worth more than just sitting on it and letting it ride out. And so the value add that I'm proposing is shopping for that tenant, using my databases to go find that tenant or tenants that go in this building. A part of buying all this land that I've traded over time through all over the US is I created my own little print shop. It's not so little anymore. We send a lot of mail. I like direct mail. I'm old school direct mail guy, and I send them a letter, black and white, basic, boring, legalese looking letter. Looks like a bill, and you got to open it because you don't know what's in there. And it says, "Hey, Mister, let's go with Popeye's Chicken. Popeye's Chicken at XYZ." And the beautiful thing about Popeye's Chicken is there's a whole bunch of franchisees. It's not just the corporate. I've tried reaching out to just the corporate of every name you can think of, and it's hard to get through the door. But if you reach out to the franchisees, it's a lot easier because you've got, I like a systematic approach. You can contact hundreds of different franchisees for the same name, right? And you might be able to pull it in from the next town or the next state or the other side of the country. When you do that, it opens the doors to a lot more names going here. They know how to run that franchisee. And then how do I get them to call me? I offer you, 100% financing. I'll give you the grand opening marketing plan and the, resurface it, put the Popeyes chicken logo up here where the KFC logo used to be and all that stuff. Change the signs, change the colors, dress it up, make it fit you, right? It's like tailoring a suit to the person. Make it fit them and offer them labor for the first couple months. Offer them supplies. Offer them the franchise fee. They got to pay the franchise fee to open another franchise. Like some of these people are leveraged out to the moon to run these things. And the easier you make it for them to get in here, the more rent they can pay over time. And then they just got to sign my numbers to get the rent, right? And so I do the math to get the rent numbers to work, and everybody wins. You get to sell the property to me if I find a tenant, and broker gets a commission, and I get to have rents that come in for the rest of forever, but really I want to resell it. And so I propose when I'm doing this kind of mailers and I'm saying, please come rent this building. Here's the terms. Here's the, offer them the moon sales pitch to go here. They say, well, I'd rather just buy the building than pay your rent. Like, okay, I'd like to have it in an auction. And that's where the auction part of this LOI comes in. And so we get down and I got, I'm sorry, there's so much words here. I try to boil it down, but I'm not good enough at that. Not smart enough to do that. I'm just trying to cover the bases. Got this auction stuff. And so Crexy is an auction house that auctions commercial real estate. And I do a lot of properties through Crexy. I do them through 10X as well. But I think this particular building and setup would be better to run through Crexy. I'm in both auctions all the time. Like my name's all over a bunch of those. And I see them from different sides. So to run this through Crexy, I will need you, the seller, John and Gene, Allen too, or Hyde, to sign off on I'm putting a Crexy auction marketing agreement into this package along with this video, this LOI, and a timetable of the auctions. And you're like, what is all this stuff? That's what this video is for. I'm trying to explain it. This auction marketing agreement is you guys as the sellers signing off to run it through Crexy auctions. And we're going to have a reserve price on there. And the reserve price is the lowest you'd be willing to sell this thing at for 30-day close after the auctions. And you can change it. You can change it along the way. The auctioneer is going to be like, yo, you're willing to go less? Look at all the people that are here and nobody's willing to pay this much and blah, 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 blah. If you're willing to go less, that'd be great. You don't have to go less, but they'll market to you to try to go to less. And that's why they want you at the meetings. They're going to have a meeting, like a Zoom meeting weekly, coming up to it. Here's the data. Here's what's going on. And Jordan's going to be expected to come to these meetings too, because he's going to be the broker on this thing. He's going to be answering the phone, talking to the people that are signing up for the auction and going for it. And he's going to be answering real estate questions. The auction house is going to be answering the phone, making calls. Jordan can make calls too. You probably get more clients the more calls he makes. You can turn these people into other deals too. But answer questions on this deal and get them to bid. I'm going to be sending mailers because I like sending mailers to the exact direct who goes here. And I want to be taking calls from the people on the mailers. And I'm going to say, go to the auctions. If you want to buy it, go to the auctions. If you want to rent it, great, let's do it. And let's make it happen. So this morning, I'll put another one on the screen. Thought I had one up here. Boy, I thought I had it stacked up. Here we go. Maybe I should make this bigger. So this morning, well, I'll go back a little bit. This is a Papa John's. This one's in South Carolina. It's a little town called Newberry, South Carolina. I bought this Papa John's, and it went bankrupt in 2019. And this morning I found a tenant, and they're touring it, and we're getting down to the minutia details. But I found it by sending mailers. Sending mailers, this Papa John's has, this looks like it's in the middle of a field looking at it like this, but where is it? There's a Burger King right here. There is a Wendy's in these trees. I also own the land along here too, but the Wendy's is like right over here. There's a big Walmart around the corner. This looks like Countryville. It's not a good example, but this Wendy's is like 90 percentile Wendy's. And then there's a Zaxby's next to it that's like a 98 percentile Zaxby's. So the fast food in this town, everybody loves their fast food. So Papa John's built a Papa John's, which looks like it's in the middle of a field. I shouldn't be laughing. Brand new, never opened to sell a slice of pizza. Still got the boxes inside, like ready to go. The ingredients, should probably throw those out, clean out the fridge, right? But it's totally ready to go. And they didn't make it. But I sent mailers to everybody that goes here. Same plan, mailers. People call, they're like, I want to buy. They send them to the auctions. They want to rent it. They're not willing to pay enough rent to make it happen. But I got one this morning that's, I do this on other buildings. So this is an example. I got a renter this morning, and we agreed to agree. We haven't signed, but it's agreed to agree on all the terms. And he's got the credit, and he's got the backing, and I think it's a deal. I think I got it rented, and then I'm just going to finish it off through the auctions and sell it in the auctions as a rented building, right? So I want to do the same thing with your property. So I've got this one. I pulled this. This is your property. This is the KFC and the parking lot next door. So I wanted to make sure that I get for the parking ratios. I need the parking lot, not just the building, but both lots. I wanted to put that in there. And I didn't finish the whole idea of the LOI. Okay, so the auction, we sign up to this auction. The point of it is I got a timeline that I can negotiate with these people, because you go get into all the negotiations with these people. I don't have like a way to land the plane to close it, to set the hook, And so when we got an auction and a timeline that's happening, they see the auction. I point them at the auction. Yeah, go buy it in the auction. Go buy it in the auction. If we get a couple of these QSR guys that are like really gung-ho and they want to buy the building instead of lease it, 'cause they don't want to do lease deals with me. They would just rather own it, which is good on them, right? Go own it. Go buy it through the auction and get 2 or 3 of them duking it out, and they'll, the price goes higher. The auctions generally attract the bottom, floor bidders. They get a lot of these really low bidders to the auctions. But with my marketing going after specific users of this building, those guys are the ones that can drive the price. And you see them show up and drive the price. So get a couple of them competing with each other. They can be the ones that hit it out of the make it go in the auctions. I've had them listed on the markets, and then we go do this process, and they go 30 or 40% above like what they were listed for on the markets, just by getting them competing in the auctions. And you can't get them to sign like without that timeline. It's, they're like, yeah, gonna, tomorrow. But with the auctions timeline, it makes them dance. Like now, it's how we get it to happen faster. Make them lease the thing now before the auction happens. And so now, if we get somebody to show up and lease this thing before the auction happens and they're ready to go, I'll buy it from you right away. I didn't put proof of funds on the screen, but I'll put that in email to you too. I've got the cash to just buy the thing. No banks, cash, just buy the thing and close. And then we're going to keep it in the auctions. This information is for the broker. This is for Jordan more than John and Gene. We're going to keep it in the auction. So John and Gene, you're not responsible to pay the fees to the auction house, because we're going to keep it in the auctions, and we're going to rejig the marketing. We're going to change the pictures from like a vacant building to a building. We might even have to Photoshop it or draw it up in cartoon land, that it's now a Popeye's chicken, for example. KFC probably won't let us rent it to Popeye's, but you know what I mean. It's a Popeye's chicken, and they're paying XYZ rent, and the lease goes for this kind of long timeline, and it's a marketable lease. And that's a different buyer at the auctions than the kind of buyer that's interested in a building that's vacant, that's got $60,000 a month rent coming in, for the next 14 or 15 years. It's a totally different buyer. So we rejig the auctions and we market towards those kinds of buyers. The auction house has lots of those people in their books and who they are and what they want. And the data dance of targeting them is a science of itself. It chase those people down and make them bid on it. It'll go at some kind of cap rate, whatever the market's bidding for those right now. And then our broker Jordan settles this thing. So if we do that, Jordan, I want you get paid to sell it to me. You get paid for the lease, commission on the lease signature, and you get paid for selling it through the auction. So I'll pay the last two, and John and Gene will pay the first commission. So if we pull this off right, Jordan, you're up for commission, and I'm up for the upside if I can bring a tenant to the table. And John and Gene, you win because it comes to a solution of the ending of this thing. You get cashed out now instead of waiting the next 14, 15 years for the cash and then trying to figure out what to do with the empty building somewhere along the way or afterwards. So I think everybody would win off of this kind of exotic solution. And so if you guys are interested, I'm putting this together, I'm putting it in writing, I'm delivering it to you, and I'm sure you have questions. I'm here to answer questions and try to walk you through this thing. And I'd love to meet you in the meetings along the way through the auction as we hand this off to the auction house and add marketing along the way to pull it off. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This is Luke Smith, Rural Vacant Land, talking about this KFC in Hamilton, Alabama. Thanks.